Cryptocurrency market right now is at a pivotal stage. Let's not be naive saying we don't see what the market is showing us. Let's focus on the facts. Let's focus on the reality and just don't go into that range where it's only forecast, where it's only opinions, because this is what the market is showing you. It is clear, it's crystal. Let's not just fight against that. Let's look at the market and see what the market is showing us. Some are projections, that can be opinions, that will change. But something like this is not projections. That's the market history. That's the reality, the fact of what's happening. So once you understand the possibilities, now you try to look forward to what the hell is happening, because some of these are macro on chain, and this kind of gives you the bulb lightning like, okay, I think there is something wrong. Why is that? Right? While you look at the market and understand what's happening in the market, it kind of gives you an idea, that doesn't actually look good. If that amount is coming in the market, that's the narrative. Are all of them going to take everything out of the market? We don't know. But when you go on chain, this is what you see. The price is the highest in last 242 days. And a lot of people are moving Ether into exchanges. So it's like, in last 3 months, this is the first time you're seeing a huge increase of assets coming into the exchanges. So usually when do you do that? When do you move from your ledger to a exchange, a fiat exchange? That's when you really want to cash out. So the thought process here is clear, because when you look for Bitcoin, it kind of shows you like the illiquid Bitcoins now is sky high. So people are like, I'm holding. I think this asset is going higher. And that shows you the trend, the direction of the market. So let's just not fight the facts and reality. Let's focus on them. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. If you are receiving value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget that. Now, guys, while you look at the daily chart, looking at what's happening right now in the narrative, we kind of get the thought process like, okay, fine, I'm looking at this, I'm getting a divergence. And it doesn't really look good. Like the price is actually making you a rising wedge format while the RSI is slowing down. Agreed, completely. But then when we take a step back, what we are observing right now is like, okay, the RSI is showing you it was going down while the price was going up. But right now it's breaking through that trend line, which is actually bullish. Right now you got a daily close that kind of gives you the picture, and it is not only a daily close, it also happens to be a 3-day candle close. So now we are getting like, okay, that was a pattern, but you just broke that to the upside. And when we go back in history, we always see something like this, where you go into the overbought territory, then you consolidate, and that consolidation looks something like this. The price stays at a range, allowing the moving average to catch up and then burst to the upside. Now, it's not once or twice, right? You go back in history, you see this pattern happening again and again and again and yet again. So if history is repeating or at least rhyming, why should we go against it? Because the macro kind of shows you like, let me look at this clearly. There's a weekly chart of Bitcoin where if you take the total crypto market, right now it's biased with Bitcoin, right? It's like close to 50% in dominance, which means let's first look at what Bitcoin is doing. That's the direction for the entire crypto market. Let's not forget that fact. And while we look at that, it kind of shows you, look at the picture. You break through your moving average on a weekly, great. You consolidate and then you take a next leg to the upside, and the RSI happen to enter the overbought territory. Now focus on what's happening right now. You got the break of the moving average. You retested the moving average. Great. That looks crystal here. Last time we didn't get that. Then you went up here. You got similar consolidation. You're breaking higher, and the RSI is entering that range of overbought territory. So on the normal sense, I would say, I wouldn't actually go for a $150,000 Bitcoin. But if it's actually happening, say by next 3-4 months, that means you're literally looking for 140, 150,000 range, right? And now it can be a little up, a little bit down, 130, 140 range still is a long way to the upside from where it is right now. Because when you actually incorporate the thought process of the wave structure happening here in the market, it kind of gives us the idea of like, wow, okay, that looks like you tested this previous range of resistance and now you're going back up to a new high. But the macro thought process, I'm like, okay, if the price is in a corrective direction, which here is upside, and I'm like, wow, that's scary. Now that's the part which I would like you to think about as many times as possible, because literally if that's happening, meaning you are in a parallel movement, when the price is inside parallel lines, it's a corrective direction. And if that's true, you are going way lower. Where are we going? We really don't know. I really don't know what the hell is going to happen. But when Bitcoin is going to this range, and if it's not breaking to the upside, most likely people are going to take profit at this range for sure, and it's going to slow down. And if that is the case, you're going to see the price come back to this range again, but the panic is going to push us through. Now, let's be fair. When Bitcoin actually drops in the bear market, we drop like 85%. So if we actually plot that, we kind of come back to the same bottom here. So I'm like, okay, is this going to be a range we are going to consolidate and move in? Because if that's the case, you're going back up to like 200, 300 in next 3 or 4 years, not a million or, bigger values like that. Now, the primary thing as an XRP holder for me here is to understand, okay, if Bitcoin is doing this fact here, let me go back to the chart of XRP and see like, okay, what the hell was XRP doing in mid 2019? And let us look like what it is doing right now. Because when you focus on the short term, XRP does show you that we came to the downside. We are in a channel, a parallel line. The price is inside that, which kind of gives us the idea that we may break to the downside. We may go test this support. Now, that is positive. Now, why do I say that? Because when you actually look at that range, consider this as a mother candle, right? You broke to the upside, you went up. Yes, there was a lot of fight between the bulls and bears here, but they managed to close bullish. That's great. Now, as we know, if you are slowing down and you're staying inside this range of 0.45 and bouncing back up, that's bullish. Because think about the other side. Why were we actually saying, okay, we are going to go lower? Because you got an engulfing candle, you were going back to the upside, you got rejected, now you're coming back down. So it is the exact thought process. It can be like, different variation of price structure, but the market is clearly showing you the fact that you did the A, now you're doing the B, you're going for the C. So that is a fact. We are not moving away from that. But now, on the macro side of things, it does look actually interesting. Like, okay, even if you're coming back down, you're not actually looking for something here at the 0.25 range. If it's me, I wouldn't look that for now. And then you go back into the time when Bitcoin was actually running up. So, which would be somewhere here in mid 2019. And what we're observing for that is the price action was in a huge resistance range. It never actually broke that range during that time. Let's put this in black. It looks better now. Now, if we look at what the price action is doing right now, are we in that range or are we below that? That is something you have to ask yourself. Say, for example, here you got one level of resistance, which got extended here. You broke that, retested. No, we got volatility there. Great. But below this was the next level, and it kind of seems like, okay, you have this level, agreed. After which you had another level which you extend, you go beyond, and it looks like a level of resistance. Agreed. But do you think that the range here is the same what you're observing here? I personally have hard time agreeing on that fact because let me explain. Let me actually clarify that range. While you zoom into the price action, you're following a crystal clear trend, right? You are literally doing this stuff where, now, what do I mean by that? You actually go down, hit a new low, you go back up and come back down. You're literally trending to the downside. You bounce, you consolidate, but you don't make a higher high above this point. So you didn't manage to put in a new high. Now you drop. So literally that's the trend which is going to the downside. Great. Now, what are you looking at? Inside that trend, when you put in this high and when you literally made another low, you are now making lower highs, lower lows. That's a clear crystal trend. Something tried to change here. The market tried something, it didn't happen. Then you got that collapse of March 2020, which was that final leg to the downside. After which, something happened. You got the market making a higher low, which then pushed the price to test a higher high against the most recent high. And then it again made a new low, which was higher low, and then pushed higher to make a higher high from the entire range here. That shows you this was in the downtrend, and that changed at a point when you started consistently putting in higher highs and higher lows. So that is like, okay, that's the basic stuff. You don't have to go and find different structures. We understand the fact that when market actually shows you something like this, you don't go against it, right? Great. Now, if that's the case, let's actually take the same thought process and come to where we are right now. And this is a weekly chart we are discussing, right? That's not a short-term stuff. So if we analyze that fact, yes, we were coming down, we were going down, down, down. You had this level as a support that was broken. Then the price actually dumped. You made a new low. Great. But at that low, the price happened to put a double bottom structure. And this was your resistance. You broke that. After which you never went below this range. Instead, what's more interesting is the fact that you were making a trend line which is moving to the upside. Now, the one point of concern is if you actually take that price and say, okay, I think the price is doing something like this, that's a concern. But for that, the price should come to 0.63, get rejected and go back down. In that case, it is a concern, right? But if you are looking for something like what happened in the history, that comes here. And that looks like more or less the same. That was the level of resistance here. When you started trending higher, the first major resistance was the previous level of resistance itself. It was not a new level where you were getting rejected, right? It was the previous level. So right now, when you are starting to trend higher, you are making the new low a higher low and going for a higher high. You are now testing the previous level of resistance. So for me, I'm like, okay, that is looking good for anyone who is holding XRP. Now, from there, you go on a monthly and we are like, okay, fine. We are now looking at something way longer in time frame, and this needs a ton more patience. Because remember one thing, we've been talking about the monthly chart from the time we broke this level. Because for me, that is a double bottom being confirmed by the market here. And when a double bottom structure is created in the market, what happens? You kind of come back down, retest that level and bounce. And that is exactly what we are doing here. If the price drops, it's going to come lower to 0.46, 0.47, 0.45, whatever the range is. You're then at the retest range. That is beautiful. Meaning, if you are looking at the macro and understanding like, okay, things are changing, there are issues, but the narrative right now is something different, right? Yeah, we don't think it's CBDC, but we think that the privacy issue is certainly true. So the narrative of crypto, where we are going, the direction, everything seems to be on an area. And if they are talking about increasing the target inflation, that actually means they are not now going to push the inflation to the downside towards 2%. So they don't actually need a lot more of rate hikes to kick the economy down when the economy is already dropping hard. Remember, we were at 9.1, that range as the high, and right now at 5%. That doesn't actually look like the inflation is running hot. It does show you like you made in a new low, you are trending lower in the chart here, which kind of shows you like, okay, that's great. You're already at 5. So only concern there for me would be the oil price. When the oil price goes up, it kind of edges there. But remember, the rates are high, and around 30%, if I'm correct, 30% of the inflation comes from the housing market, the rental market. So if that's dropping, that means inflation should drop. Now we go back into like, what's the structure of dollar? I know a lot of people talk about this stuff. And while we discuss about the fact that it is going to go lower, I know there is the fact that a lot of big guys having hundreds of thousands of followers give you a different opinion. But everyone has their own opinion, right? So if the price is breaking this level, which I think it is going to do, then what we are going to focus on is a new range of support. And we have our thought process crystal clear that when this happens, cryptocurrency market is going to run wild. I'm saying that again and again and again in a lot of different ways, but I think dollar is going to drop to this level, 90, 93, 95, whatever it is. That's the time when you will see crypto market running wild. And then if you actually go into the Forex market, look for like say USD to INR. I'm looking at this stuff and I was studying through the history like Indian rupees, right? I have to do that. And I'm like, okay, if this pattern is breaking lower, that means rupees is becoming stronger and stronger. And I'm going back in history to see like, what happened all the time when the crypto market, or at least XRP, was running wild. Dollar dropped or rupees gained strength. That's not something good, but yeah, it's okay, it's fine. Then you come back here in 2021 when XRP was running wild or the crypto market is going up, dollar again dropped, INR gained value. And right now the market is showing you signals. You have a clear resistance in the price action, agreed, but the strength is dropping. The market is fading in terms of the strength. So I'm like, okay, if that's the case, you're going to drop and you're going to drop heavy. And that drop means for me as an XRP holder, if last 2 times when the market went up, you got this and that's the only history you have to look for, I'm going with that history. I'm not going against it. And we also understand that yes, macro is different. And these are like the best in class investors of their time or all times, coming out and saying, okay, this is just gambling. And for me, I'm not looking at this in that particular way or what others think. I'm like, okay, this guy can be wrong. They, as a team, met with Elon Musk and they never understood that concept. They didn't invest there, right? So that doesn't look good. Then remember the story here? When Bill Gates was asking like, computer is going to change everything. Right now, it did. We understand that fact. And the guy, the old man was asking, Buffett was asking, will it actually change the way I chew the gum? I'm like, wow, that is a question being asked by most intelligent human beings, supposedly. But, that doesn't make any sense, right? It's technology. We understand the fact that you are not pushing a 90-year-old to understand blockchain technology. Even for those who are aged in 30s, 40s, it's really hard to understand the basics. Then to really go deep in and to understand it as an investment, you dive deeper. And these guys have hard time in understanding that fact. So let's, understand things as it is, right? Let's just not go outside. If it's inside that guy's competence zone, that's great. Say, if I've actually spent 3-4 years going through hundreds, if not thousands of documents related to XRP, CBDCs, IMF papers, United Nations, BIS, all those things, I think we have some knowledge about XRP, all things which have happened, and especially in the crypto market. But you're not actually going into the competence zone of Buffett and saying this guy's wrong. Instead, we are saying, okay, I think this is where we have a lot of idea and knowledge, and that guy, what he's saying is bullshit, right? That's what it is. And when you actually come back into the market, as we always say, there's a ton of opportunity in the market, but people will completely push the narrative of fear. But remember, Bitcoin is at 30,000. XRP is at 0.5. You're not talking about a $15,000 Bitcoin or $0.25 XRP. We are 100% above that, which is a fact. So if fraudsters are going to come out and give you that narrative, understand the fact market is showing you opportunities. And these are the opportunities which you actually deal with. Say FTT is going up with the new narrative of the exchange is going to come back up. I'm like, who the hell is going back into that exchange after what happened with them? It's going to be really tough if it's me to think about me putting my money into that exchange, right? Not doing that. Then while you look at the market, you're like, okay, that's a shit. Let us keep it outside. And then look for the reality. And as you go through, you see a ton of opportunities, breakouts. You go to the return rates and look for this quarter, and you're like, a lot of these assets are breaking out. And how many of them have you even noticed? Right? And that's what we are actually doing in our group. If you're interested in that, you can look at the link of Patreon in the description below, where we go through a lot of these assets, give you the right perspective of these breakouts. It's already up. We had the breakout call. It's running high. And remember, in last 30 days, it's only 15%. You're already up 20% in the 7 days, which means you have a long way to the upside. Go back, look at the yearly, and that does confirm you the trend to the upside. Being a TA guy is not only the analysis here. You go look at the project, you look for what the long-term potential is, what the leaders of that project is doing. That gives you a lot of ability to understand, like, okay, the barrier to entry into that business is time. And this problem which they are solving is actually massive, right? So you now break things down and understand, okay, that's an opportunity. That's what we do. And if you want to get a taste of it, again, you can look at that Patreon link. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.